Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
That's right. It is time for the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name's Jay Cal, the one and only over here. That's DKM. We are the Alliance Guys. It's Thursday. How the heck are you, DK?
Almost alive?
Almost. How about now?
Closer. I mean, the reason I came on just as you were coming on live was been out trying to get something done, and of course, you know, everything takes longer than it's ever supposed to.
Yeah. I feel that. I hope it wasn't. I hope it wasn't anything too important.
I mean, not like that. Just got here and just caused me to be run a little bit late.
They say that there's no sound, but after lip reading, you made 6 grammatical errors. You guys can't hear me on TikTok? I don't know how to fix that. Test.
2, 3, 4. Test 2, 3.
Oh
4,
no, they don't hear me.
3, 4.
Oh man, they don't hear me. Let me
I
see.
blame you.
Huh?
I blame you.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's of course. Why wouldn't you blame me? It's
Exactly.
Too quiet. Okay. I don't know why he wouldn't hear. I might just have to try to hang up and try it again.
Or you can hang up and try it again.
All right. Well. Okay. Sorry, guys. We'll try this again in a second. YouTube, we're good. We're going to be here live on YouTube. We'll just try to do it again on here. I don't know what happened. Sorry. If I sound a little discombobulated, it's because I'm discombobulated.
Well, somebody should be.
All right. Well, did you watch Power this week?
Most of it, yes.
Well, I think you made a great decision to only watch some of it.
That goes more in line with what I was thinking.
You can hear me okay, right? You hear me.
I hear somebody. I assume it's you.
That's cold-blooded.
Well, if it's not, I may need to seek some counseling.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You should seek counseling regardless of whether you can hear me or not.
You're right, because I'm too nice and I'm too friendly.
Is that what they tell you?
That's what I tell myself.
All right. Are you going to go? Hey, are you going to go to Forney?
Sounds like a personal question.
Okay. Can I ask you a personal question?
Oh, sure.
Are you going to go to Forney?
I do not fornicate, no.
Are you going to go to Forney, Texas?
Oh, Forney, Texas. Probably not unless I can find someone to go with me.
I did want to go, but that is, and you know this because you had kids, you have kids, they're adults now. It's not cheap to take kids anywhere, and as much as I would love to take my kids to Texas to go to Six Flags over whatever it is in Dallas, I guess.
Arlington?
Sure. Whatever you say, boss.
Arlington gets testy when you call their features as being in Dallas.
Oh, okay. I had no idea. a flight to Dallas for just Jason is not too bad, but to take the whole family gets pretty expensive. And
that's because she kept having kids.
Well, yeah, but I like the act of trying to have kids.
Well, they have stuff for that now. I don't know if you know that or not.
Well, have you noticed it's been about 11 years since I've had another kid?
I haven't paid that much attention, honestly.
That's rude. You're being rude now.
I am being honest.
Honest, maybe. But you're still rude.
Well, maybe that's true. But does it really matter? Does it really matter at this point?
I think only some things slightly matter right now. And first and foremost is, are you going to go to Forney, Texas? And it sounds like the answer is nay, good sir, nay.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
I mean, unless I get like a wild hair and there's somebody that goes, oh, I'll go with you.
Either the boys have any interest in going to wrestling shows?
Well, no, not really. My older one used to go with me some, but he has his own place and his own partner and everything like that now. So
sure, which makes perfect sense. I get it.
So yeah, he's 27. He's in a he's not even mid 20 after this year.
Yeah, no, he's a full grown adult now.
I don't know who let that happen. Sure wasn't me.
I saw there's a video meme on Instagram that I recently reshared, and it was like being a girl dad, and I don't like it. I don't like him growing up. I've had these moments, especially lately, because the youngest one, she's 11. My baby's 11, and I'm taking her to school, and I just look at her. I'm like, how did you get to be such a cool kid with me as your dad? Like, I don't know what happened, but I'm happy for it.
Yeah, well, she doesn't, let anybody know you're related.
Wait, she doesn't what?
Doesn't let anybody know that the two of you are related.
Yeah, probably not. You're probably right on that. Hey, Victoria, how are you doing?
If she's 11, so your other one's 13?
She'll be 13 in March. Okay. Well, I guess 13 at the end of the month.
So you're going to have a 13 and a 15-year-old at the same time. Yeah, well, we probably won't hear from you those 2 years.
Well, if I think I'll be all right. I raised my oldest is 21. You said 27, and I kind of was like, holy crap, 27. But yeah, it's I've got a 21-year-old, and she came shortly after yours. So, anyways, the reason why I asked if you're going to Forney is because there's some late breaking news through the NWA scuttlebutt that they are bringing back the wild card 4-team easy for me to say. They're bringing back the 4-team elimination wild card rule for this year's Crockett Cup. Now, last year they had the David Crockett Memorial Invitational, not Memorial, just the David Crockett Invitational. He's not dead. And
I was going to say, I could have swore I met him not long ago.
Yeah, I just realized what I said. Wait a minute, hold on now. And I'm trying to pull up the details here, but basically there will, similar to the first Crockett Cup of the Lightning One era, they are going to be having a wild card 4-way match to decide who becomes the 16th entrant, 16th seed for this year's Crockett Cup. There's already been talk from some of the teams who may be a part of it, like Exodus Pro's TME. There's been talks about a tag team from Chicago. There's been talks about a tag team from WLW. And it's look, the tournament itself is already pretty stacked, and we don't know exactly who's going to be in what role, what capacity. But, you have the Immortals, your NWA World Tag Team Champions, the U.S. Tag Team Champions, the Slime Balls. You've got the new pairing of Pope and Mims, which is similar to the old pairing of Pope and Mims. You've got the Good Brothers, the tag team champions, former tag team champions from the New Japan Pro Wrestling, from the almost said NWA, from TNA Wrestling, from the WWE. You've got the Southern Six, who won the Crockett Cup in 23, in 24. So there's a lot of, already.
Year we went.
Yeah, the 24, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back in 20. You got the Mondo and Slade. So there's a lot of interesting teams in the Crockett Cup this year. And, now it's like, well, who's going to be this mysterious fourth team? Remember, the first time they did that, we got the pairing of Royce Isaacs and Tom Latimer, who went on to eventually become the tag team champions and make it to the finals of the 2018 Crockett Cup. So it'll be curious as to see what happens this time around.
In fact, eventually won the title.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I needed water. Yeah, and that pairing, which became strictly business, was such a formidable group within the NWA. I mean, you had Nick Aldis, who was your world's heavyweight champion, Tom and Royce, who were your tag team champions. They were centered by the best insurance policy in the business, Camille, and they were a very dominant faction in the first 3 seasons of Power. Of course, Royce Isaacs would eventually leave the company and be replaced by Chris Masters, who in many ways was even more dominant than Royce, because he would win the national title 2 times and become an actual one of the cornerstones of the NWA for that brief time, post-COVID, before, I guess, Tyrus winning the NWA world title. We haven't seen much of Chris Masters since then. I always kind of thought he'd be back in the NWA at some point, but apparently he's done with being in the NWA. But what do you think of that stipulation, then bringing back the
I got the feeling they didn't leave on the best of terms.
I got that too, but I thought it was more of heat with Tyrus and less with heat with Billy. I mean, do you think it was heat with Billy?
I think heat with Tyrus is the same as having heat with Billy. I think it was. I think Masters questioned using Tyrus, in that Tyrus was only getting it because of his TV connections, which of course Billy was only using Tyrus because of his TV connections. And but I think that caused friction between the two of them. And I don't know that either one of them really want to deal with the other one. A little bit like Nick Aldis when he and Billy fell out. And it's like you would listen to each of them complain about the other, and you go, you know what? I think they're both right. I don't think either one of them. I don't think either one of them saying something that's not right.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes, at least when it comes to Nick Aldis, I mean, we know why there was issues. We know that about the issues there, and a lot of it came down to booking. Aldis was not happy with the way that the NWA was moving forward, and and it's not hard to understand that either, because we saw some of the decisions play out right in front of us, including and not limited to Tyrus. I'm trying to figure
what do I have to come back for? I should have waited at least another 10 minutes so I don't have to hear that name.
Well, sorry, I guess.
It's okay. At least there's a Willie joke coming, I'm sure.
No, I haven't seen a Willie joke. In fact, I haven't seen Willie on in a while, so hopefully he's okay. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with the screen here, so just excuse me for 1 minute. But I guess what we were just talking about, Jaden, and because you just now joined us, I want to make sure you're in the loop. It was announced today that the NWA will be holding a wild card 4-man elimination match. A four-way tag team elimination match at the Crockett Cup to determine the 16th seed in the Cup.
Better than a battle royal, I guess.
Yeah, well, last year they did I can't even talk anymore. Last year they did the David Crockett Invitational Battle Royal to determine that 16th spot, which ended up, I think, going to the Slime Balls. And they went on to become the U.S. Tag Team Champions. The first time that they introduced this wild card rule, we had Royce Isaacs and Tom Latimer become the eventual tag team champions. They didn't win the Crockett Cup, but they did make it to the finals, and then eventually were able to parlay that into a tag team title shot, and joining up with Nick Aldis as part of the Strictly Business group.
I remember that. The good old days.
The good old days.
The glory days.
Can we say glory days?
I don't think it's trademarked.
Okay.
Maybe Bruce Springsteen might have a trademark. I don't know.
There's a the local bar where I went to high school at, in the town that I went to high school at. There's a bar called Glory Days, and good times. I never went there. Never, not even once.
For a second, I thought you were going to say your high school was in a bar.
Well, might have been.
So, did they announce any of the 4 teams?
No, not yet. We're speculating, and our good friend Matthew Underwood, who has been all over this on the interwebs on Instagram, already has kind of volunteered the team of I think they are TME. I think the main event. I think that's the name of the team, and if I'm wrong, Matt, please correct me because I know you're reading or watching. TME, the Exodus Pro Tag Team Champions, are heavily favored to be invited to be a part of this, at least from a fan's perspective. I have no idea if it's genuine, if the NWA is interested in bringing them in for this event. I guess the scuttlebutt would be like the normal tag teams who are available. We have 2 representatives from Chicago. We have, the Duke City Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champions and the Country Gentlemen. Exodus Pro has, they take credit for the slime balls. So technically they have a team in the Crockett Cup. As far as Pope and Mims, they don't really have a territory that they belong to, but the NWA is more or less have just accepted FTW as part of the territory system. And we have 2 promotions in Texas, and we have yet to hear a single tag team from either of the Texas promotions to be listed in the Crockett Cup. So it'll be interesting. I don't know how it's going to play out.
Well, hopefully it's a very entertaining match, and some team in that elimination match becomes big stars.
Yeah. And that's the thing too,
I have a weird
over on
question.
TikTok. Say that again.
I have a weird question.
All right, let me say this and then ask your weird question. Over on TikTok, Wonderland says, I think the Crockett Cup is just as relevant as the Heritage Cup. It's not relevant, in my opinion. And I think that's an interesting take from an outsider. If you're a fan of the NWA, I think the Crockett Cup does carry a lot of value. It's probably the second most popular signature live event that they do. But I get the criticism, but it's a tournament that has been around, on and off, mostly off for 40 years. And this is the 4th one, I think, under the Lightning One era. So, it's important for the NWA. It might not be important to you, but it's important to the NWA. All right, DK, what was your question?
Well, first, now I want to respond to that.
Go ahead.
In the greater scheme of wrestling, sure. I don't know that anything the NWA does is important. I don't think anything that anybody outside of what WWE and AEW do is important in the greater scheme of things in wrestling. Within the NWA, though, I think it's very important, the Crockett Cup.
Yeah.
So, see, like within NXT, I don't know that the Heritage Cup means anything. I don't even know who's the current Heritage Cup champion, or if they even still have Heritage Cup matches. Involved and other people. The Heritage Cup is irrelevant to the NXT maybe, but Crockett Cup's not been irrelevant to the NWA. And they've had some good winners in the past. They've had winners that have gone on to hold the World Tag Team Championship. Both the last two tag team champions were former Crockett Cup winners.
Yeah.
So, I disagree with that assessment. Back to my weird question.
Let's hear it.
Do we know what happened at the TV tapings that took place? Because it sounded at one point like they were going to do like they did in 24, where the first round took place. And if the first round took place, does that mean that this wild card match has already taken place?
Okay, I kind of have a slight answer to that.
All right, let's hear it.
Answer away.
I did send you guys pictures from the one girl who goes to those events. And it appears the first round did happen. It did not appear any of the pictures she posted of any 4-way tag team match. So I have a feeling a bunch of first round matches happened, and they're probably going to have the 4 teams battle at the Crockett Cup and then wrestle into the rest of the tournament, because that tends to be what they did with the Battle Royal anyway, even when they had the first round. So again, based purely on the limited evidence that I had, I don't think they did the 4-way elimination match at the TV taping. I believe they're probably saving it for the Signature Live event, which might be a good way to get some of the Texas tag teams in without having to fly them.
Yeah, that's a good point. DK, your rebuttal. DK, you're muted. All right, moving on. So I think at the very least that was an interesting thing. Hey, there you are.
Yeah, sorry.
What were you?
Screen popped.
It's all good.
The screen popped up and I couldn't get to the mute button. Anyhow, normally the team for the 16th or the 12th or the 8th or the whatever seed that they're having, it's to get them into the first round.
Yes.
So if the first round is complete, then it should have already happened. If or they're going to have some team that has to go through it's 4-way and then the first round at the Crockett Cup, which would be one first round match at the Crockett Cup. And so and I'm not saying they're not dumb enough to do something like this. It's something that sounds weird to me.
They have precedence because that's what they did last time when Jay and I were at the Jay and Milk Mascaris were at the Crockett Cup in Philadelphia. They did the Battle Royal to fill one of the spots, and then immediately that Battle Royal winner went right into the match and the opening round of that night. So they did the first round at TV and had 7 people come through. 7 teams come through, and then the Battle Royal team was the 8th team as part of the tournament.
Did they do other rounds at the taping before? I remember that last year.
Yeah, last year they did all the opening round was at the taping, except for obviously whatever match was that. Because I believe even some of the teams that were in the Battle Royal were in the matches, I think. Yes, no?
No. I'll have to look it up because I was thinking last year they did it differently, because they kind of do something different every year. They don't hold up.
Yeah, well, it's whatever happens to the creative idea Billy Corgan has and makes it miserable for the rest of us.
Exactly.
So, just for giggles, I came over to the Wikipedia page for the Crockett Cup, and you never know how accurate this is, but it says, geez.
No, G's wasn't a part of it.
Actually, he was, but not in a wrestling capacity. He managed Mims for that.
Yeah.
This is tournament doesn't really translate well when they break it up by match. Okay, first round match, you had the Country Gentlemen take on Mondo and Slade. Blunt Force Trauma took on the Slime Balls. Remember, the Slime Balls were the last entrant into the tournament by winning the Battle Royal. Oh my God!
It looks like Wikipedia only lists the actual event, the Crockett Cup, not any of the previous matches, though.
No,
I don't know. I don't think there were previous matches. I don't remember that last year.
Well, you guys watched it. It's crap.
What?
You guys watched this crap. Either it didn't happen and you're correct, or it did happen and it was so bad you can't remember it.
No, I really don't think it happened. I think last year they just did a one event, Crockett Cup.
I'm beginning to believe that DK is right, and Jaden, I think the year before is what they did with, because when DK and I
24s they did it with round one at the TV taping, because when we got there we were able to figure out the spoilers for the TV tapings because we knew who won.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, I see the brackets. I see the brackets now.
It's not a great idea. If they did those matches beforehand, it's going to be hard to work that around unless, they were qualifying matches for the cup instead of actual like tournament matches. If they were qualifying matches, then that's something else entirely. And in which case, I don't think if they're qualifying matches, then that's fine, because it doesn't impact the actual tournament. It puts the name in the tournament, but it doesn't change the actual.
It's a tournament to get in the tournament.
Yeah, and they've done that before too. So anyways, something exciting to look forward to if you're going to Forney, Texas on April the 4th, April the 3rd, whatever day it is. I don't even know anymore. You got me all mixed up, fellas.
If you don't go to Forney, Texas, you should definitely go to Mount Laurel, New Jersey for the South Jersey Geek Fest to see Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators wrestling action, excitement, and amazing athleticism live and in person, part of the South Jersey Geek Fest. Cheap plug.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Saturday, April 4th is when the 2026 Crockett Cup takes place. And like I said, it looks like it's going to be a little bit of everything. Of course, they're going to do their regular TV tapings there in Forney, Texas. So we will see, Pretty Empowered. We'll see the women's champion, Natalia Markova. We'll see Thrillbilly Silas Mason defending the World Heavyweight Championship. We will more than likely see Tiffany Nieves defending her television championship. It's been reported that Bam Bam Balone will be there, that Izzy James will be there. I'm sure Soto Pop will be there. The Cologne should be there. So there will be a lot of wrestling that night. So for those who are going, to Forney, Texas, they should take a look. Matt caught me off guard because he just said, "Isn't AJ Kazana headed to find Jay and Silent Bob tomorrow?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? He's going to a dog event in Rowan University."
I think he means heading to New Jersey.
What's that now?
Yeah, I think he means heading to New Jersey because that's where the secret stash is, probably.
I picked it up after I started reading the comment. Yeah. And that's going to be super cool. I, wish AJ Kazana all the best luck as he enters the hallowed grounds of Rowan University. And the, I don't know what his match is yet for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, but what I do know is that Dog does a great job of putting all those matches from Rowan up on their YouTube channel. And I highly suggest everyone going to subscribe to the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiator YouTube channel. And if you want to hear somebody talking about the Raw WrestleMania event, we talked to Brutal Bob Evans last Thursday. We talked to Cheeseburger this Thursday, and both those interviews are both up on the Alliance Blog podcast.
And if you follow all the socials, everybody's talking now, even though they were supposed to talk for a long time ago, and they're just finally now giving Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators the interviews and promos that they were supposed to do for weeks.
Oh. Oops. All right.
Passive aggressive there, right?
It's allowed. I will allow it. All right. So
I'll allow it.
we titled this show 40% of all Americans, and it wasn't like a patriotic thing. I'm not trying to galvanize a fan base or anything, but the point of that title is that 40% of all American households have access to Sinclair Broadcasting channels. And if the rumors are true, the NWA could be welcomed to a much larger scale than it has been seen in decades. Sinclair Broadcasting, the company that previously owned Ring of Honor, that featured Ring of Honor content on many of its channels throughout the United States, is looking to get back into the wrestling business. At least that's what the scuttlebutt is on the street. And before Ring of Honor was purchased by Sinclair, they were actually looking at the National Wrestling Alliance. And that's not hearsay or rumor. That's been verified by guys like Bob Trobich, by Dave Marquez, and I even think Fred Rubenstein admitted that they were looking to add the NWA to their portfolio years and years ago. Now we're talking about 2010. So this is quite some time ago, and this was, 2 ownership changes has happened since then. Obviously, Bruce Tharp having the NWA after 2012, and then Billy Corgan purchasing the NWA in 2017. But there was a point in time where the NWA was viable and attractive to Sinclair Broadcasting. And my question to both of you gentlemen is, could this be the next step for the NWA? Could we see the National Wrestling Alliance become a part of the Sinclair Broadcasting?
I think Billy will fuck it up.
Oops, sorry. That was maybe I shouldn't have laughed so hard.
But I figured I can get one per podcast, and I was definitely going to use it there. I think if it does happen, Billy will still have to do it the Billy way, and I don't think Sinclair Broadcasting would like that as much. They were very hands off initially with Ring of Honor, and then when things started going well, they started putting a little money into it. They didn't like to put anything into it, apparently money wise. They just wanted the product and the content.
Yeah.
But eventually, again, when things started getting a little bigger and started going a little bit better, they did start putting a little money into it. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened where they put all the money into safety protocols, and it pretty much killed the company as we know it now. So I think there is a plausibility. Do I think it'll make a difference? Do I think that Billy Corgan's current status and style of NWA and those local stations will lead to growth for those local stations? No. I think slightly more that watch it on YouTube would watch it. And technically, I guess YouTube still would have been the biggest public forum the NWA had, because there's more. YouTube is in a lot more homes than Sinclair. But I think, like I said, I will go on that thing and say, no, Sinclair won't do nothing because Billy has full control. It has been very well said that Billy Corgan about doing things, and Billy Corgan wants to maintain his way and doesn't want to listen and follow anybody else's direction. So it will still be the same NWA, probably a new theme song, and probably more Billy Corgan.
It's funny that you say probably a new theme song, because I think they've changed theme music each time they've moved platforms, whether it started off on Bluetooth, on YouTube, and on Triller. When they moved to the CW, they had new theme music. When they moved to X, they had new theme music. And when they moved to Roku, they had new theme music. Now, DK, I'm interested in hearing on your take. So you're going to have to unmute yourself to say something. But, Sinclair, look, what do we know about Sinclair, right? They had several sports stations that ended up flopping. And wrestling historically has been cheap to produce, cheap to air. And although, sure, it's more expensive to do wrestling today than it was, 20 years ago, I still think that there could be a market for the NWA on Sinclair. What are your thoughts?
Well, from what I'm hearing, what Sinclair liked about wrestling was it had a steady and consistent audience. So basically, if you watched it this week, you were going to watch it next week, and you were going to watch it the week after. So that's part of what they were looking for. Is something that would give their stations steady viewership, steady content, all that good stuff. Now, could the NWA draw the same numbers that ROH drew? I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it could. I don't know that it couldn't, because honestly, I don't know what ROH drew. And could it give them something consistent? Yeah. Would the product change? No. I don't think, like Jaden said, I don't think Billy's going to change anything.
Theme song.
So then the question becomes: could it do enough to? Could it draw enough people to keep Sinclair happy? And there are stories that estimates of how many people are going to watch it on CW and possibly Roku were generous, and they never quite made the levels that they thought they were going to. So, if a deal could be worked out, I think it would be great. But I don't know what type of deal. As long as Billy doesn't pay to have them on the stations.
I think that is a very important distinction. But so let me go on down a different path, and this is speculation. These aren't facts. I don't have numbers to back these. This is just my speculation. But good friend of the show, David Marquez, has been producing pro wrestling in Southern California for the last 20 years. Whether it be as an affiliate of the New Japan USA or as an affiliate of the National Wrestling Alliance, or now doing his own thing for the last 14 years, the United Wrestling Network. He has produced these television shows, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and before that, NWA Pro Wrestling, and before that, New Japan USA Token Strong Style, whatever it was called. All of these vehicles were produced for syndication for television. And currently, if you go look for Championship Wrestling from the United Wrestling Network, you'll find it syndicated on the Gray Bar Media, which is not in direct competition with Sinclair Broadcasting, but operates several television stations in Atlanta, or Georgia, I should say, a lot of the Bible Belt states, and then, some of the states like in Tennessee or like I think like I want to say Ohio might have been one of them. So they have some eyeballs on their product that, again, they earn money from advertising, they earn money from being distributed through syndication. And then we look at we look at NWA Power, and yes, it currently is on Roku, and I can't tell you how good or bad the numbers are, but I do know this. I know that Sinclair Broadcasting owns approximately 170 television stations, and they own 173 stations and 483 channels across the country, covering 30% of all American households, which is different from what I thought it was earlier. I thought it was 40%. Needless to say, if just by putting the NWA programming on a regular time slot, on a regular channel, they have television stations in Oregon and Oklahoma and Ohio and New York and California and Nebraska, North Carolina, Montana, Missouri, Michigan, Maine, Kansas, Idaho, Iowa, all these states, Florida, all these states. And when wrestling currency right now is attention and eyeballs, I feel like the NWA would benefit greatly from being on those 173 channels over 300 stations. Am I wrong with that?
I don't know. Honestly, it's going to be even harder to see the NWA for places that don't have it. Like, I have no Sinclair stations where I live. Could never see Ring of Honor.
Well,
Okay, DK.
I was going to say one thing is that if you get it on Sinclair, and if there's not necessarily an exclusive to Sinclair agreement, I know that Ring of Honor was able to syndicate out on other independent stations. Like they were in DFW, but it wasn't on a Sinclair station.
Okay.
So it could be a first step into getting bigger clearance, bigger coverage, but it would take somebody else to, know how that all works in detail, stuff like that, because it sure ain't me. But
Here's the thing, too, when it comes to television stations, you can own some, but a network is often made up of stations that aren't owned by you, but they're part of the network. You can only own so many stations, UHF being easier, which were the old UHF stations. I don't even know if that's what they call them nowadays. They were easier because they were only counted as, I think, as half a station, so you could own twice as many. But yeah, you could have a whole network of stations that aren't owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, but they are part of the Sinclair network, which is probably where the 230 come from. It's probably 100 and some owned by Sinclair, and then the rest are also just licensing the Sinclair programming. The other thing too is they didn't put a lot of those when Ring of Honor was on. It wasn't on the same time and day and on every station. In fact, there were some markets where it was on two different stations at two different times. In fact, I think that I remember we're hearing one time there was a market that if you held your antenna up to the window and put your finger in the toaster at the same time, you can get both stations at the same time, and they both were playing the Ring of Honor on at the same time. But it's not like it's going to come on at 6:05 on every single Sinclair station or Sinclair broadcasts. One that has the Sinclair's rights. You can find it at 1:00 in the afternoon. You can find it at 3:00 in the morning. You can find it on a Wednesday. You can find it on a Tuesday. There's no rhyme or reason when it comes to that and when they put that on there too. So that may hurt a bit the marketability of the NWA, because you can't just say go to Sinclair at 6:05 and watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even here, I think you could not only was it on one of the local independent stations, but it was on some small cable channel too. And like the local station, I think it would air like last week's, this week's, at on like a Saturday at some time, 11 to midnight or something like that. And then on like Wednesdays, it would air whatever the new one from Saturday was at some strange hour. I mean, it was during the day, but it wasn't like a prime time thing, like let's say 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, you had like 3 chances to see the same show. But look, if we can get out there and do that, it'd be fine. I'm sure it'd still stream somewhere because, Ring of Honor still was streaming. Ring of Honor still had other deals that they worked on. Even when they were owned by Sinclair, they were still, other places. So we'll see.
Could you get Sinclair in Canada?
I don't know.
Can he get Sinclair internationally?
Well, let's see. I don't see any Canadian channels, but they are in Buffalo. Does Buffalo channels translate to Canada?
Probably the same thing as like when we used to get the one station from Allentown. If the sky was completely clear with no clouds around late at night, we can get an Allentown station on our broadcast television. It was a little fuzzy. You could watch it. So probably in the same way.
Okay. So I guess, do you guys feel like this is not a good move for the NWA then, or do you feel like it's an indifferent move? I mean, I
Are they
guess
still going to be on Roku? That's what I'd like to know. Is it just Sinclair? Is it going to be Power staying on Roku and USA goes to Sinclair or Carneyland?
well, look, if Sinclair is chipping in for production, then I could absolutely see them creating an entire television show for Sinclair while continuing to keep Power on Roku. And look, like with the way that the NWA is taping content currently, it's not unlike another company that's starting to do studio television, because if they're filming 2 months of TV in Tampa, they could continue to film TV in Tampa, and that could be exclusive for Roku. And what they film, at their signature live events could be exclusive to this new company or the new show on Sinclair. If that's what they, this is all just speculation because none of us really know. But their signature live events could become what they produce for Sinclair, and then go ahead.
I think we're overcomplicating it.
Sure.
I think most likely, if something went to Sinclair, it would be like Power, in that you could probably still find it somewhere on stream. It happened with ROH. It happened with ROH before they bought them. It happened with ROH after they bought them. It's just, I think it's. I don't know that they're looking to sink money into production. I think they're looking to get a show that they can give their stations. I mean, look, when they first bought ROH, Jim Cornette said a lot of times that they kept hoping that they would put some of their money into it or whatever, and they never really did. They never saw it as something that they were going to do. They saw it as something they could give their stations. And I think that's really what they're looking for. Hey, what can we put on our stations that will draw a consistent number? And I really think that's all they're looking for. I don't think they're looking to sink money into anything. I mean, they might help here or there or whatever, but if they split the cost, Billy's already producing anyway. His production's not terrible. And so
I would say their production's pretty top notch. I don't know that there's anybody doing better. Equally, I would say there's a few of them, but better. I don't know that there's anyone better than what the NWA production-wise is, how it looks.
So content-wise, I think it's different, but
sure, absolutely, that's a different conversation altogether.
Yeah. So, but anyway, my point is, I don't know that that's needed. And again, there's always strings attached to money.
Sure.
And if
contracts have outs too.
Say that again.
Contracts have outs too.
Yes. And so I think it's one of those things of, hey, we want a show. And then if they are able to produce the numbers that they want, then everything will be good. And if they're not able to produce the numbers they want, then things could go south. I think if a deal could be worked out, overall it's beneficial.
I have some questions. Are there Sinclair stations in, say, Dothan, Alabama, or Forney, Texas? or any place that the NWA likes to do well. Maybe the television area for Florida where they promote, because this is where it can really be helpful. If they can get on them, then maybe they can make an agreement with some of these stations to start doing things like local promotion and say, come check out NWA at the PBS studio with our Sinclair representative and stuff like that. Just another way to actually work with the local stations, because it's a lot easier to work with a local station than, say, a big network. So when you're promoting these things coming up, maybe that means you could have NWA on your local news in that market, if they happen to have a market that's worth going, that has a syndicated or a Sinclair owned station. So maybe get them on the local news and the local morning show, and have them host a game show or something that's part of that station to locally, to be able to build up interest in the NWA in that local market. In fact, if they do get on Sinclair, the very first thing they should be doing is seeing if they can talk to every single one of those different markets and see if they can make an agreement to put Thrillbilly on every single one of them, and the few people that can talk and that aren't Brian Idol.
I will say this, just as you were talking, I looked up stations currently owned by Sinclair, and in Alabama there are, I just had it in front of me, there's Birmingham, Toluca, Anniston, and then there is another station in Mobile and Pensacola, Florida, but there's not one particularly for Dothan, and I don't know the market in Dothan. I don't know if that's its own market for TV, like in LA, in the LA market. I live in the LA market, but I'm like 2 hours away from Los Angeles. So although I'm in the Los Angeles market, I'm not in the city of LA. So I don't know if Dothan is similar, where that maybe they're in the Tuscaloosa market or whatever, or Mobile market. And similarly, right now, the network that Sinclair owns in Florida, they own channels in Tallahassee, Florida, Gainesville, High Springs, Florida, and Fort Pierce, West Palm Beach, Florida. And I don't think any of those are Tampa. So to answer your question,
close to it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Doesn't mean though, like they couldn't apparently, what if they can get actual like viewership numbers, like real true viewership numbers, they may be able to find that Tecumseh, Michigan or whatever has a very high NWA following and might be a good place to put an event.
Yes.
So that's where it could come in handy if they could work hand in hand with some of these local stations and even build on that. So I think that'll be really, really cool. And speaking of markets, by the way, I live in New Jersey, but I'm in the Philly market.
Yeah. There you go. And
not even the same state.
That's crazy to me, but I get it because I've been there now, and I know how close Philly is to Glassboro. It's not that far, and like I just told you, it's 2 hours for me to go from where I live here in the Inland Empire to Los Angeles. It's a 2-hour drive, legitimately, but I'm still in that same market. I don't think it's a 2-hour drive from Glassboro to Philly or
not even close.
Yeah,
half hour if you hit traffic.
Yeah, but then like you said, like, okay, so what if it turns out that they get a huge following in Boise, Idaho? I mean, that gives you all the more reason to have an event in Idaho or Des Moines, Iowa, or Saginaw, Michigan. It's like you're right. They would get more analytic and at least could see where like maybe there is potential for more NWA programming, more live events based on how well they're doing on TV. And that's, one thing that Dave Marquez used to do when he was running the small arena shows for the NWA was that they would buy TV time in the markets, and they would literally run, and it was repeats. It was stuff that we had already seen, but they would run the NWA Wrestling Showcase shows in those markets for about a month before, and leading up to the live events that they were doing in those areas to help sell tickets.
Yeah. The idea is, when you got a television station back in the day, you ran 10 to 13 weeks before you ran your first event. You ran television. And then you started promoting heavily. You ran spot shows, but I mean, like, you had a new virgin territory. You would run 13 weeks on television, 10 to 13 weeks, and then you would start heavily promoting, your towns that you were starting to do, because you're also able to see specifically, okay, this area, they do a lot of viewership. Let's put an event there, and that was why you were able to do it, because you were able to build that audience and create it. When it comes to television markets, including pretty much any kind of market, many people get too antsy, and they immediately say things are a failure. Whenever you bring something new, it doesn't start gaining traction for 10 weeks. But a lot of people, like, after a month, they're already like, oh, I'm ready to give up. So don't forget too, it doesn't start building traction initially when it comes to, what that television is going to do, or what that marketing campaign is going to do, or what that new product launch is going to do, until 10 weeks it's been out for that long. And then you at least have the ability to start seeing some kind of movement. So we have a while too. Even if it does happen, it may not be an overnight success, but it's possible that enough people might stumble upon it. And again, this is where good advertising would help. Find that local newspaper and advertise it. Buy ads on local stations and promote it. But ads in, like, online in that area, and target specific marketing through Facebook and anything else and all the socials into that particular area where these things are going. And I think they could potentially do something, because people secretly love pro wrestling. Not everybody is a front of the line fan, and not everybody is a hardcore fan or diehard fan. There's people that are casual fans, and there's people that are closet fans. And the thing is, once you can reach out to them, you might be able to get some of them into your venues and some to watch your television station.
It's kind of funny. You said closeted wrestling fans, and in high school, I remember I've always been a big proponent of professional wrestling. I've always talked about it. And even before I had a podcast, if you were my friend, you and I would be having a conversation about it. One of my friends from high school, who I recently, I've always kept in touch with, but we actually went to a Championship Wrestling from Hollywood TV taping a couple weeks ago. And he told me while we were there, he's like, I've always wanted to go to a wrestling show. I've never been to one. And I said, oh, well, how long have you been watching? He goes, I've been watching my whole life. And I looked at him like, why the fuck did we never speak about wrestling before? And he just kind of hung his head. He's like, it's not cool to talk about wrestling in high school. And I'm like, well, I guess that wasn't cool. But all that being said, like, you're right. There are people out there who enjoy pro wrestling, but have been very quiet about their fandom. And
yeah,
and I do believe that with the right marketing and getting some, like, my friend Vic, the Wiz, I took the Wiz to a wrestling show, and now he's excited to go to the next wrestling show. And he's already started talking to me like, well, are there other independents in California? I'm like, yes, there are lots of them. Tell me,
is
what
there
level
oxygen?
What
is the grass green?
Right. What level of wrestling production do you want to see? Do you want to see more underground style? Do you want to see something at a high school gym? What do you want? Everything's out here, similar to like how things are in the Northeast. There's hundreds of wrestling promotions, maybe only a handful of good ones. That's the same thing out here in California. I could throw a rock and hit a wrestling promotion, but is it going to be one that I want to go to? Not necessarily.
As you guys, I think I might have stated on this, but you guys know him. Dog is a member of the Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey, and I'm often the representative that goes to those events to try to garner interest and gain some marketability and make some contacts and some leads and all kinds of stuff for future dog events. And the last one, even more than the first one, there's bankers and business representatives everybody from your guy who does your lawn care to the guy who does your cybersecurity, talking to me about their favorite professional wrestler, who they grew up watching, people in business suits and at these big fancy restaurants and doing these little networking events, and they're all like sitting there talking to me about professional wrestling. So there's a lot of people who like pro wrestling, and the object is you get those into your building. They're the ones that aren't jaded. They're not the ones that are sitting there going Pepsi Phil and oh the Flippy Dippy or anything like that. They're just there to enjoy professional wrestling. They don't get into all the other stuff that the message board goes all ape shit over. And so does the forum and the Discord and everything else, or YouTube or Instagram or anything. It's just casual people who like to see it and will go to it and have fun just because it's there, not because they care about, oh, did you know that this guy secretly told this guy down, and this guy he is a cancer in the business and all that other stuff. No, they just want to come see professional wrestling, and there's a lot more of them than there is the people that are the hardcore ultra violent or super indie or whatever fans that there are out there, all the niche audiences.
My fantasy baseball league, there's a lot of fringe wrestling fans in that group, and we were talking about Danhausen's debut in the WWE, and one of the guys who, I bless his heart, he thinks he's a smart, he thinks he's a smart, and he starts talking about how Danhausen is not connecting with the audience and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, it was one appearance. Like you can't really base anything off of one appearance, especially, in hostile crowds like Chicago and Philly. Like you can't use those locations as a barometer of how successful or unsuccessful a person or a segment's going to be. I mean, in Philly, they were throwing snowballs at Santa Claus. So I would not be surprised.
Well, deservingly, by the way. I didn't get my my USS flag, and so I'm always going to hold that grudge.
Fair enough. But you get what I'm saying, though. And then he goes, but does he bring in casual fans? And I said, yeah, absolutely he will. It's not going to happen overnight, but casual fans will see that and be like, what the hell is this? And be at the very least curious to what's going on with all of that. And he goes, all right, but do casual fans go to WrestleMania? And I said, absolutely. Do you think that's diehard wrestling fans going to WrestleMania? No, man. There's going to be 70,000 people there. You think every person at WrestleMania is going to be a diehard wrestling fan? No. It's a show. It's a spectacle. And I feel like there is definitely a vocal minority of wrestling fans that makes up the internet wrestling community. The people who go to the message boards, the people who do a podcast, people that read the dirt sheets. That's a small amount of the audience. And for anyone that thinks that internet wrestling community, that vocal minority is the majority, you're sadly mistaken. And the reason why WWF and WWE still sells these tickets at such a high price value is because people will buy those tickets. And when they drop the prices a little bit, people will be excited to buy them up at a cheaper price. These things don't happen by mistake. They don't happen by accident. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but the diehard wrestling fans is a very small minority of the greater wrestling community.
They don't believe though. They believe they're the most important part. But a good example, based on things you say, I'm not really a football fan. I cheer for whoever beats up the Dallas Cowboys this week.
Yeah.
And my last team that I actual supported was the San Francisco Demons of the XFL.
There you go.
But I would go to a Super Bowl if somebody gave me free tickets and got me there.
Absolutely.
I'm not a baseball fan. I played it. I had fun playing baseball. I played like Little League, T-ball, and all the way up. I went to a couple of Phillies games, had fun, and I would definitely go to a Savannah Bananas game, especially now that there's a couple Kazana Bananas there.
Kazana Bananas, I love it.
So yeah, I would do it because it's not just it's the whole spectacle basketball. I love hockey. I would go to a hockey game anytime I could. But there's nothing like playoff hockey. That is a completely different sport. And if you're a hockey fan, that is the greatest experience. But if you're not, that energy is amazing, unless your team really sucks, like you're from Philadelphia.
So, I mean, look, all of it to say is I don't think there is a genuine I don't see a downside for the WWE. Jesus, let me try that again. I don't see a downside for the National Wrestling Alliance to work with Sinclair, and if that opportunity is a viable option for them, if they can get on Sinclair, I would say go for it, because absolutely would give them more visibility. Would it be a better deal than Roku? I can't really tell you that. Could it be could it be a more lucrative deal than Roku? I mean, again, I don't really know. But in terms of just the real estate of eyeballs and the exchange of eyeballs, I feel like they have a greater chance of being seen if they were in more markets.
Yeah. And again, I'll use Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators as an example. If I was able to get Dog onto Roku, or Sinclair, and have them syndicated, I would be huge, even if none of our area actually gets it. That still would be huge. But if I had my own druthers, I would also have a separate, again, assuming this is fiscally, financially, viable. I'd also have something on YouTube. I'd also have something on Roku if I could. I'd have something on a cable station. I'd have something on Vimeo. I'd have something on Twitch. I'd have something everywhere I could if it was financially feasible and physically responsible.
Yeah, and and to speak to that, and I'm not, it is what it is. I know that the Women of Wrestling are on.
Wow.
They are on a lot of the Paramount owned channels, as well as distributed on YouTube, and on they also have their show on Roku with the NWA. So I feel like, I don't know what would prevent them from doing that. And then this program that's going to be on the United Wrestling Network this Sunday, their Sunday Night Slam show, is going to be on the Adrenaline Plus channel, which is on DirecTV. It's on YouTube. It's on LG channels. If you have an LG television system, it's going to be on Triller TV. It's going to be on Fubo. And even things I've never heard of, like Kogan and Zumo and all kinds of weird stuff. So I
heard that Kogan's a hoe.
We're coming for you, Kogan. Anyways.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Pepsi Phil, I get it.
Uh-huh.
All right. So this is the part of the show where we will now discuss. There was one more thing that, and this DKM wanted to talk about this, so I hope DKM's ready to speak about it. And that is the relationship. They say, now I blew the quote. Copying somebody is the most sincere form of flattery. I know that's not the way it's supposed to be said, but the Ring of Honor has now.
You mean imitations is this?
That's the one. Sure. I told you, if I do more than 4 hours of podcasting in a day, I'm not good. And we're approaching hour 3. So anyways, we had imitation being the most sincere form of flattery when Ring of Honor had announced that they'll be doing a studio show. Now, they mentioned they would be doing a studio show not far from Dali's place out there in Jacksonville. And so not only are they doing a studio TV show, but along with having a national championship that looks very eerily similar to the NWA, television champion and the historic national title, it kind of feels like Tony might again be copying the notes of Billy when it comes to the National Wrestling Alliance. Now, this is for DK, and I hope DK's there because he was the one that wanted to speak about this. DK, tell us about the studio idea that Tony's running with the new ROH program.
Well, My
Well,
understanding is that basically it's supposed to be an old-fashioned studio taping with just, maybe 100 fans or so. Well, he keeps running off when I start to talk. I'm starting to take that personally. And, maybe just 100 fans or so. I guess we won't know till we see it, but get it down to like an hour and tape a month, tape like 4 shows and do an hour show and everything and get the look and feel and vibe of the old studio shows. Now, so the one question is, A, does something like that still translate and still work? And B, can you use that to get over pay-per-view? They do what, 4 pay-per-views a year, Jaden? Do you remember?
your guess is as good as mine. I don't know.
I think it's 4, although I'm sure somebody out there that actually pays attention knows.
Which is the ideal number of pay-per-views, by the way?
I would think so. 1 a quarter. That gives you 3 months of build-up and for the main storylines and get some of the blood feuds going and everything like that. The pay-per-view should be the blow-off and a chance to reset afterwards for your new stories. So we'll see, I guess. And
I don't think the controversy is as big as is definitely blown out to what people are going, especially Brian Idol. First of all, the NWA stole the idea because it was what they saw on TBS, which stole the idea from a bunch of different places throughout the many years, including one of the innovators of true studio wrestling were the Kazanas. But the studio wrestling format has been done since television was a thing. In fact, it used to they did it the arenas when they were on like the big networks with the Dumont network and everything like that. But after that big Dumont network crash, studio television wrestling was all the rage. And when UHF and smaller stations started coming around, when there's more than just 2 or 3 networks, they needed the programming, and that's where studio wrestling truly thrived. WMAC, I'm probably getting the initials wrong, but in Memphis, Tennessee, was one of the biggest, longest, and most popular studio television shows locally. It was drawing ratings in numbers that were bigger or better than. It was drawing bigger ratings in the Tennessee market and the Memphis market than some of the WCW, AWA, and WWF were drawing nationally in some cases, the same amount of people watching. And they were doing huge percentages of market share of that area. And so, studio wrestling's been around forever. Also, people have short memory because you know what? When Ring of Honor was owned by Sinclair, they also did studio tapings. They had places where they would come in and record a month's worth of television. It's not a new concept for them either.
Well, and
so
sometimes we also got to define studio versus,
arena.
Well, not arena necessarily, but like small venue, and studios have a certain look that there were often only 2 cameras in a studio thing. A hard camera that faced the ring, and then like one camera guy who would look at the announce desk and maybe shoot a slightly different angle of the ring. And so a lot of Ring of Honor thing, there may have only been 200 people in the place, but they tried to make it look like a small arena or small venue or something like that. Whereas
but so was Center Stage. Center Stage is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I won't know until I see it. But the idea that I've heard is that this is supposed to be more like the Georgia Championship Wrestling Mid-Atlantic thing, where maybe you have 100 fans that are sitting in some bleachers, on one side of the ring and two of the corners. So it'll be interesting to see how they actually try to do this.
I don't know if I saw a mock-up or somebody doing something through AI. It didn't look like AI, but it looked like it was kind of more aesthetically like the center stage, where you had the ring in the center and you had a little crowd around you, an audience of a couple hundred people or whatever it was. Because center stage, also, people forget, they see center stage now. I believe they altered that building to get more people in there nowadays. But yeah, it's not going to be a tiny little studio. Heck, the studio the NWA ran the first time was a lot larger than anything any of the studio places ran in the glory days of wrestling of the NWA. It was way bigger and held way more people.
Right. But they were trying. They were getting the vibe closer, but yeah, it was bigger, no doubt. But sometimes they were all, in the later tapings, they were only drawing about 100 people anyway, so they could control how many seats they put out.
Yeah.
So
there are a lot of studios being built in New Jersey. It's going to become Hollywood East. I know Netflix has built a huge studio, and there's also a lot of these studios that people are now renting out, where you can rent out a specific spot to do your cooking show or your podcast or your interview show. And even now, there's even smaller studios that are rent out just purely for podcasts. Like, you can have live podcasts at these studios, and you decorate it, and you put a plant somewhere. And you could do whatever you want, but then when you leave, you take it out with you, and the next person comes in. It's very modular.
Is that like between two ferns?
we got 2 or 3 of
Yes,
those.
kind of like. What was that,
We
TK?
got 2 or 3 of those here in Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's a thing. People want to be television stars or podcast stars or radio stars, and there's where this particular form of media that we're on right now comes in handy.
Well, and just to point out what you're saying, like, look, Thunder Studios is in the not so great part of Long Beach, California, where that entire, and I've actually walked around that campus because it's a huge area with these huge sound stages. And I've never been to the Universal Studios in Florida, but I have been to Universal Studios in Hollywood, and everything is very theme park. But if you go to the one in Florida, it's a lot more actual studios are there, and actually they film right there on those buildings. And like, I know a couple years ago, I was on the Paramount studio, and I didn't do a tour, but we did a charity walk for St. Jude, and you could see where some of these buildings were still being used to film TV shows. And in the Thunder Studios, they do cooking programming, they do esports. They have an esports arena that, they literally pack people in to watch people play video games. It's the craziest thing in the world to me, but that is where it's going. So it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot more studios popping up in places, because the ramifications are, you don't need Hollywood to do this. You don't need, I'm literally doing this in a room in my house. You guys are, in a room in your house. And I'm not saying it's the greatest production in the world, but we're doing a podcast right now. We're streaming live on 3 different platforms. And if there was a television channel, it'd be easy just to feed this into something else. The technology is there. And for anyone to just do a studio style wrestling show, it seems like, to me, that's the biggest no-brainer there is, especially, and I'm sorry, I'm going off on a diatribe here, but going back to the COVID days with the NWA, I never understood what was preventing them from, securing in place for like a couple of weeks, having the talent, with protocols, with COVID regulations, and still filming, wrestling without an audience. They could have still produced pro wrestling during COVID, I mean, we saw, you know, the United Wrestling Network was doing that with the Primetime Live series, and New Japan USA was doing that similarly with, you know, COVID protocols to keep people safe. And I'm sorry, going off on the diatribe, but I just feel like the studio style of wrestling is not the hardest thing in the world to do.
Do it well, it is,
I
apparently.
mean, fair. That is an absolutely fair statement. But, you know, and again, not to toot Dave Marquez's boat as much as I already have, but I mean, the guy's been doing studio wrestling for the last 20 years here in Southern California, whether it be with New Japan, whether it be with the NWA or with the United Wrestling Network. He has done studio wrestling, and it's continued to do studio wrestling, even with, you know, whether it be at the Ocean View Pavilion or, you know, the Santa Monica Dojo where they were doing the Inoki Dojo shows, or, you know, you know, they were at the Glendale Studios before. They were at the Regent Hollywood Showcase Theater, and most recently in Irvine. You know, it's still that same studio format, studio mentality. Just the situation for the audience is a little bit staggered, but it's still pretty much the same thing.
Cool.
I love how you tie it all together. Okay, so let's talk about Power. Unless, is there something else you guys wanted to say about the ROH TV tapings?
Okay. I agree, DK. It was the best statement you've ever made. Is he on mute?
It doesn't show that he's on mute on our end, so
Sorry, dogs.
Okay.
Oh.
Is there anything else you would like to add to the ROH TV tapings?
No, it's the first time I've actually been interested to see what ROH is going to put out since Tony bought them. So
I wish,
especially since they also have too many titles.
If I had, you know, if my will were to be executed however I saw fit, I would have had Tony Khan buy the Globe Theater in Los Angeles and have Pro Wrestling Guerrilla run there at once a month, and not have bought Ring of Honor at all, and literally have just done essentially AEW Dark is Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and they could have just done all like once a month, and not even hands off. Tony let Super Dragon do what he was doing with PWG. It was the most popular wrestling on the West Coast. It always had such a great big buzz. You even had it, at one point it was so popular that the WWE was sending talent scouts to scout potential superstars from the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla group. William Regal was at many of the shows looking at potential talents, and you know, they did sign a lot of guys who, yes, they worked in Ring of Honor as well, but the focus was Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and guys like, you know, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and gosh,
I didn't know you worked for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Jay.
You know, a lot of guys that ended up in NXT, the Black and Yellow, you know, they always reference the Ring of Honor connection, but that was a lot of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla connection too. And knowing that William Regal was literally in Southern California scouting those talents, I honestly think that would have been a better move for Tony, because he could have had something hands off. He could have just financed it, and you know, it still could have produced the same kind of wrestling that they got with ROH at a third of the investment.
Yeah, I don't think he cared about that. He wanted to be very hands-on and own a lot of toys. He needed a new play set for his new toys to be featured on, so he could put them on the wall and look good on the little background, which is why he's actually probably doing a studio, because it's probably just, to him, it's just one giant shelf that he could play his wrestlers with.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of truth to that. All right, can we talk about Power?
Yes, let's get it down in 34 minutes.
See what we can do. This week was titled Odd Man Out, and I feel like, you know, the titles I feel like have some certain meaning to them. And this week we kind of find out what they mean by Odd Man Out about halfway through the show. Actually, like the first 20 minutes, we figured out what they mean. The show opens up with a. Say that again.
I felt I was the odd man out.
Sometimes. The show opens up with a package of the Lost versus the Federation of Champions, specifically Misery versus Aaron Stevens. And I don't mind these. Actually, I think they're a great way to start the show off. They've been doing them the last few weeks, but a nice package centered around a big storyline of this week's television, which was Aaron Stevens and Alexander Miserable. As Aaron Stevens takes it personal that he was stuffed in the casket and he wants his retribution. And of course, the Lost just wants to be taken seriously. I feel like the big overwhelming motivation factor for the Lost is that they're thought of as a joke, which they're not. And Alex Misery is literally a one-man proving point to that. Interestingly enough, the next thing that happens on the show is an in-ring promo. And I can't remember the last time they didn't give us a wrestling match to kick off the show. But we have an in-ring promo with Tom and Tom Latimer and Brian Idol. And of course, I love Tom Latimer. I'm very lukewarm, if not cold, to Brian Idol. He is your television champion, and they make it clear that as TV champion, he has succeeded in winning his 7 necessary matches in the TV title, best of 7, lucky 7, or whatever they call it. And he has an upcoming match against Thrillbilly. The way Brian Idol has been demanding things, he is a bit of a diva because he's in the past demanded that the 6:05 time limit be removed for a 10-minute time limit in his matches. And now with the lucky 7, he wants to face Silas Mason in a no DQ match, falls count anywhere, basically a no limits match. And the world champion has his reservations, which, again, this is kind of like backward logic here because Silas Mason is presented as a heel for the company. Brian Idol is presented as a face. A falls count anywhere match. Brian Idol has Markova. Silas Mason has the Southern Six. And if it's a no disqualification falls count anywhere match, you think that would heavily favor the world's heavyweight champion in this. But I digress. Silas doesn't want to give into these stipulations. He wants a straight-up match. And Billy Corgan, being the ever-progressive leader that he is, has decided that a tag team match is the best way to determine which stipulations will be added to this match. So next week, we will have Tom Latimer and Brian Idol versus Silas Mason and a partner of his choosing. And the winning team gets to choose the stipulation for that world title match that's coming up. So first I'll ask you, Jane, did you sit through this segment or did you skip it?
I watched it, but it was around 5 a.m, so I don't know how cognizant I was, or conscious, or whatever the word I'm trying to say is. But yeah, first of all, Brian Idol's taller than I thought, or Latimer's shorter than I thought. Because I think Idol looks tall as Latimer, if not taller in that. I do
believe Idol's taller.
Yeah. I guess it was fine for what it was. It was nothing I cared about, honestly. I just wanted it over with because it was talking, and sometimes I love when a show starts with talking, but I have to care about the people. The best talker in that one was the bald guy.
Kyle Davis?
Yeah, I know his name. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned he was the bald guy.
Nice.
That tends to be the best talker of the group, tends to be the bald guy. Not here, though, because I'm not bald. I'm solar powered.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah.
DK, I know that sometimes you'll skip some of these segments. Did you watch this one?
I did, but I didn't really enjoy it. Too convoluted.
That's the NWA's MO, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't have to like it, and I don't like it. And so it was, for me, it was.
Sure. I don't like it.
It was too convoluted. It was too much garbage. Too much. Have a effing match.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have the biggest wrestler in all of pro wrestling or whatever he calls himself, and thinking he doesn't want a match of no disqualification. I mean, that should be right up his alley.
Yeah.
And so it didn't make sense. It was convoluted. I didn't enjoy the segment.
Now, a good friend of the show, Matt, just said, and it's kind of interesting to me, Kyle Davis should be managing Colby Carino, and Joe should do podium interviews. Would you guys want to see Kyle Davis transition out of the, commentator / announcer role into a manager?
No.
No, but
No.
on the other hand, I also want them to stop making him part of stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be okay with them not ever being involved in a storyline. And I also feel like he probably shouldn't be the ring announcer and the interviewer. I feel like that is a two separate positions, and they should keep it separate because
They're economizing.
I guess.
Yeah.
But
all that money they spent on Head and Shoulders for him, they have to cut down the budget.
I think he could be a fine interviewer, and I'm okay with him being an interviewer. I don't think he's a very good ring announcer, but that's just my, and it's not like I hate him, but I just feel like, that a ring announcer to me has always been more polished. And, earlier you mentioned Gary Michael Capetta in the pantheon of ring announcers from back in the day. Mean Gene Okerlund did the interviews, and it was Finkel announcing the wrestlers. I mean, to me, there's always been a designation that it's two different jobs, but maybe I'm just, seeing too much into it.
Sometimes, though, back in the day, it was whoever happened to do whatever they needed. Sometimes the ring announcer was the commentator doing it from the announce table. So I guess it's whatever they happen to do, whatever they need.
I don't like the idea of it coming from the commentator table. All right.
Look at old Bob Cottle from Mid-Atlantic. He would do it in front of a green screen.
Well, okay.
It was interesting looking, but I wouldn't say it was great.
So after having an opening segment of a vignette for the big storyline match of the week, and then an in-ring promo from Tom and Idol, next up we have a backstage skit. Hooray! With Dr. Vic and TVMA.
Yeah.
And it just gets creepier with this guy. And I know who he is, and I know what he's supposed to be. And it still creeps me out. I don't know if it's being written this way, but I feel like he was probably on a plane ride to a special island at some point. And I would, if I was friends with Tiffany Nieves or Miss Star or even Greta, I'd be like, I don't think you should keep visiting this guy because he's not good news. And
cover your drinks.
Yeah, you put those little.
We thought Idol was gone.
Put those little plastic things over the cup. No more kayfabe cocktails because this dude is a creep. So he talks about Dr. Vic wants to bring out their niche, and it just kind of got like a mixed reaction from the three women, and then that was kind of it. This kind of stuff, again, we could have had anything besides this, and I don't understand where they're going with it or what the point is. And I'm sure somebody from the NWA would say, well, Jay, you got to just let it play out. But I'm like, this has been going on for months, and I don't see any benefit to it. We don't see Dr. Vic down ringside with the TVMA. He's not a part of their backstage promo process with them. They're only part of these video vignettes that give off a very creepy vibe, and I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it.
Like Welch's, it's very grapey.
Thank you for saying that. It took me a second to catch it. I'm going to ask you, DK, you probably did not watch this.
I did not. And I even have a response to the people that said, well, you need to let it play out. And that is, I don't want it to play out.
Yeah.
You can't have been doing this for however many months that they've been doing all these horrible, horrible skits and all this horrible, horrible crap like, Joe Cassana's Nothing Burger or whatever. It was all a big waste of time. No, I don't want it to play out. It's not part of wrestling. It's not enjoyable. It's not good. You have not put out one thing through these skits that has in any way, shape, or form made me want to watch wrestling or made anybody else who's ever watched them want to watch wrestling.
You know what's sad? I put on authority by multiple people that the people involved think that this is good stuff, shit, pal.
I mean, I
I'm
believe
about to
it.
call something else, but
And that's why they keep doing it. But it's, Vince McMahon thought all the crap he did was good. And, by the end, he was practically destroying his business.
Real quick, I have to pull this out because Sean Mega on TikTok just killed it for me. He says, just call him Vic Epstein or Vic Titty. Vic Diddy it is.
Vic Diddy.
It's just...
Dr. Vic didn't hang himself.
I like that. That was funny. But, yeah, back to this thing. Just don't... Stop trying to justify it for Billy. And if it's not... And if other people are involved besides Billy and coming up with this crap and thinking it's good, be it Joe Galley, Kyle, Tim Storm, Hoya, whoever, it's not.
I think you're giving Billy way too much credit to see if he's asking any of those folks if this is a good wrestling.
No, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying if somebody would come back and go, well, others back there who are working.
They just don't appreciate my creativity. I'm a great musician, and I was able to bring all this great stuff. I'm a great booker, and you're just not seeing my genius.
Yeah, that's because it's not there.
Well, and then Matthew Underwood just said Billy Trask has an executive producer, has to have a lot of the blame too. Yeah, I mean everybody who's involved with the production of it has to wear a little bit of the shame. But they have to acknowledge that there's shame to be had here, and nobody's going to go on the record from the from the talent to on-air personalities. No one's going to say anything negative about the production because Billy
and they shouldn't, honestly,
right? Because Billy doesn't want to hear that. Billy has, and I hate to say it, but Billy got rid of the 3 people that used to call him out on his shit. And I feel like there's been a steep decline since those 2 personalities are no longer with the NWA. The decline of the weekly program has fallen because an unchecked Billy is like an unchecked anyone else. They used to talk about how great the Attitude Era was because you had Vince McMahon and Vince Russo, and Russo would come out with the most outlandish ideas, and then the creative team would, pick one and they work backwards and try to make it all make sense. And that seemed to work during that time frame. But anytime Vince Russo was left unchecked, his shit got weird. And you could look at WCW as the biggest example of that. It was just weird. It didn't make sense. And what he's doing in JCW, I hear a lot of people give it praise. Personally, I haven't bothered to check it out. So I just...
Who's been giving it praise?
That's what I'm wondering.
What are they smoking? Go to the hospital, get an MRI. Apparently, you have brain damage.
Well, I made the comment to Jay. I go, be careful of people who are praising a niche product of a very niche product of a very niche product of a niche product. Wrestling in general is niche. By the time you get down to the Gigolos, you've got a very, very niche area. And like Jay said, probably a lot of the people who are watching and supporting probably doing it more for the Insane Clown Posse than because they like wrestling.
I don't know why it makes me smile so much, but hearing DKM say Insane Clown Posse just tickles me. I don't know why that's funny to me.
I want to start thinking, who's going chicken hunting? We just going chicken hunting.
The only
greatest song they ever did.
No, I really enjoyed the Vampiro theme music when they were in WCW. The Dead.
Okay.
I really liked that one.
I actually liked it the Oddity song they did.
Everybody come and see the greatest show.
Yeah.
Our good friend Double D, former member of the Alliance guys, technically always a member of the Alliance, guys. He's just busy raising a kid and stuff. I've been watching JCW. It's not great. There's some bright spots, but he's playing a BKM type character right now where women are accusing him of having nudes of them and stuff. It's weird. Yeah, I don't. And to me, like that would be uncomfortable where I wouldn't want to watch it. You know, I like awkward stuff. My favorite TV show of all time is Arrested Development. I love awkward, but I don't like creepy. And I, you know, maybe it's because I have 3 daughters. I don't know, but I don't like creepy. Anyways, that's.
What was the wrestling promotion in California that had like the Ku Klux Klans and Harley Racist?
Oh,
and-
that was
that
a
called?
traveling promotion, and I don't think they were California based. Wasn't that international, right? Like International Wrestling Species or something like that?
Interspecies wrestling? No, that was a different promotion.
There was something there. I can remember Kevin telling me about it, but basically it was purely adult. Like,
Well, they have Hood Slam, and that's very.
That might have been the one.
Hood Slam is very 420 friendly, and it is not for kids. It's an adult only experience, and they are literally
Incredibly Strange Wrestling. That's what it was called.
okay. And that was a touring group too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't know. I remember the results being in California when I read it, and I always laughed at the Ku Klux Klans.
Well, I think it was.
Were you a member of that, Jay?
Shit. No, I was not. I was 9. I think that was part of the Vans Warp Tour. And I think that's why you saw the results. Incredibly. Why can't I spell anymore? Strange.
While you're looking at that, in the Northeast, we had Women Extreme
Yeah, I
Wrestling,
remember that one too.
which was a mixture of real wrestlers, strippers, and really garbagey indie guys that couldn't get any work in real promotion, so they were scumming it up in this.
And Shelly Martinez. So incredibly,
You couldn't figure out which one she qualified for, or the original
it was
three?
like all 3 of them. So okay, to your point, yes, they did have matches in California. Specifically, it was a San Francisco-based wrestling company, but they also did events in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Maryland, a couple of Maryland, and there's only like 8 shows show that 8 shows total from like the first one was in 1995, 95, 95, 97, 97, 2007 in Maryland. And some of the wrestlers' name, Lance Bermuda, Macho Sasquatch, Oh My Goth, the American Con Man, the Inbred Abomination, El Pollo Diablo, and then Harley Racist, the Ku Klux Clowns. Just a guy named the Rapist.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that because that was.
Go ahead.
That was in like the Pro Wrestling Torch or something like that. I read that. I'm like, what?
Kung Fu Cannibal, La Chingona. Okay, that's actually pretty normal. Major Discipline, El Borracho Gigante, The Convict, the Slab City Smasher, Cletus the Fetus.
Oh, there's another one I forgot about. This was a real thing, people. This was the GCW AEW of our day.
What was this?
This Incredibly Strange Wrestling.
And then
This is what used to be the embarrassment of the business. Is now the major part of this business.
And then Chris Shoemaker said Shelley got more popular than Kevin Thorne. Well, there's a reason why Shelley got more popular than Kevin Thorne. And that's all I'm going to say about that. First interview that I ever did in the sport of pro wrestling was Shelly Martinez back in 2004.
I actually was a fan of her, especially as Ariel.
Of course you were. Of course you were.
She fit a kind of certain niche I have.
And then Matthew Underwood.
Niche, by the way, not niche.
Matthew Underwood said his name was Therapist. You know what? That's probably the joke, right? But that's not what it says on
Wait a minute.
Cage Match.
Was that Vic?
Huh?
Was that Vic? Dr.
Oh my
Vic?
God, maybe it was. Oh no. All right. So we've been talking for about 20 minutes of Power. We've done very little talk about Power. Next up, we have so this is the fourth segment of Power, and
I'm still cracking up about that joke.
which one?
Was that Dr. Vic?
Yeah.
The therapist.
Oh my God.
Go ahead. Roll Tide.
So then the Southern.
What does Alabama have to do with
I
that?
don't know. The next segment was Silas Mason trying to figure out who he's going to team with against Tom and Brian Idol. And of course, he's looking at his two tag team partners, both of which were the Crockett Cup winners in 2024 in Forney, Texas, both of which had held the U.S. tag titles. And he picked Kerry Morton because you go with the hot hand, and that pisses off Alex Taylor, who is the odd man out. And it's funny, at one point, Kerry referred to the three of them as the six of us have to stick together. And I'm like, there's only three of you guys. So we're nearly 10 minutes into this week's episode of Power, and there's been zero wrestling. And I'm like, yeah, Billy really is trying to be just like the WWE. We finally get a match, and it is Murdoch with Knox, who is still injured, versus Pretty Boy Smooth with Pastor CeeLo and EC3. And of course, what set all this match up was, again, Murdoch got attacked by PB Smooth last week at the conclusion of Murdoch's match against, I believe it was The Wall. And then prior to that, when PB Smooth had a match, both Knox and Murdoch had approached EC3. And according to Jaden, they were asking him if he really wanted to trust the NWA to finish his career. So, with that being said, this matchup, it was, there has been a little bit of history built up to it, and I can appreciate that. It's maybe not the best, but there is some history with it. Basically the match starts right off before the weird style of the camera is finished and the music stops playing. Trevor Murdoch attacks Pretty Boy Smooth, and Smooth, believe it or not, doesn't just go down. I mean, he puts up a fight with Trevor, even body slamming him. The announcers made a big deal that Trevor's 300 pounds, which, yeah, that is big for a small guy. But, PB Smooth right now might be the biggest guy on your roster. And he has an answer for everything that Trevor throws at him, including an STO, which really looks like it was going to be the changing moment of the match. And then, for whatever reason, Cristiano Argento comes out with a chair, and he gets in Smooth's face. Smooth punches the chair, which I like the way he sold his hand hurting afterwards. Argento goes down, but the distraction gives Murdoch an opportunity to climb to the top rope and connect with that flying bulldog for the 1, 2, 3. Believe it or not, even though it was a short match, I thought it was a good showing for PB Smooth because he did get a lot of offense in, and he didn't look outclassed by Murdoch. He looked like he got distracted by Argento, which is maybe the next direction that he goes. So I'll ask you first, DKM, what did you think of this match?
It was all right. I didn't have much against it. I was glad Murdoch won. I did think they were trying too hard to put Smooth over.
You think they were doing too much to put him over?
Trying too hard.
Okay. They were overselling it.
Yeah, well, like when you're talking about he's playing Murdoch and Murdoch's 300 pounds. Well, yeah, look at the guy. He should be able to.
For sure.
And so it was kind of that thing. It was kind of like, let people get over organically. You can talk up their good points. You can point out the fact that, he was able to slam Murdoch semi-easy because of his size or whatever. But, don't make it sound like it's the most amazing.
Biggest accomplishment in the world.
Say that again?
Biggest accomplishment in the world.
Right. And so, the match was okay. I thought it was right that Murdoch won. And
it wasn't Wrecking Ball Legursky he slammed.
Yeah, and so comic book, commentary needs to get a little bit chill. Sometimes they over push the people they're trying to get over. And I think sometimes that can almost have a negative effect. I don't know. Jaden, what do you think? Am I wrong in that?
No, you're right. It's called commentary has to accentuate the positives and bring out the best of that and to highlight exactly what's going on in that ring and make it enjoyable even more so to add to it. But the commentary has recently been, and it's sad because it's almost gotten worse since Tim Storm's been there, but I don't blame Tim Storm. It's just they are just trying to get themselves over it, almost like they like hearing themselves talk. So they'll say things as a caricature of a ring announcer, as a commentator, I mean, instead of actually being one.
Oh,
what do you think?
No, I think that's a great point. Like, everyone wants to get to be heard. You're right. It feels like a lot of times, like, you know, Deals. What I like about Deals is he's funny. He adds comedy to the role. He is not. He's not a play-by-play guy. He is certainly a color guy, and I do feel like it adds something to it. Tim was a good color guy as well. Now you got both guys being color, while you got Joe Galley trying to call the whole match, and you know everyone's trying to get in their bits. Everyone's trying to get in their 2 cents, and sometimes that can be distracting. So I agree with you. I feel like, and I don't blame anybody. Like that's what you're supposed to do. I just feel like maybe a 3-person booth isn't meant for the NWA.
Well,
real quick, by the way, Jay, it's not a color guy, it's a commentator American.
Fuck.
You racist bastard.
I don't know.
That reminds me of the joke, Jaden. Never mind. Never mind. Let's get myself in trouble here.
Okay, now that we've been demonetized, and I think this also goes back to something I was talking about a while back. You know, it gets on my nerves when commentators make it sound like the move that's just been hit's the most devastating move. You know, oh, they broke the person's leg, they broke their jaw, they broke their neck, and it's just like, no, they didn't. See, they're still wrestling. You know, stop it. And be there to put the product over in a positive way. And if you're going to have 3 men in the booth, work out whose role is what so that they talk to their role. So, you know, the play-by-play guy should be giving us play-by-play and not getting involved in squabbles, you know, with the others. And then, you know, Tim Storm should be the one telling us what it's like from the athletic point of view. And then Danny Deals is the heel who's, you know, making excuses and being the comedy. And he's real good at his comedy. That's one of the reasons I like him. And I like his nickname, you know, Timmy Thunder.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe they should only have 2. But if you're going to have 3, let's get those roles cleared and make sure each person is doing what their role is.
Yeah. Real quick, Ava Ben. Hey, what's going on? We're all good over here. So that brings us to the next segment for the show, which is, oddly enough, another promo. This one with Kylie Page, the pretty prima donna. We won't call her by Danny Deals' name anymore. Just, again, don't like it. Her promo on here is basically just tired of people saying that she tapped when clearly she was in the ropes and that this was a big snafu by the referee. The referee should have been in a better position. Ultimately saying that she wants a submission match to prove to everybody that she's not a quitter. The thing about Kylie Page is we know she's scrappy. We know she's a fighter. That's kind of been her MO since joining the NWA. I can't recall one time I saw her win a submission match. Do either of you remember her winning a match via submission?
I'm trying to think of her last time I remember her winning a match.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, I don't remember her winning a match by submission. Doesn't mean she doesn't have one.
Sure.
She might secretly be training with Storbilly in his MMA academy.
Well,
she might be a protege of Dan Severn around. Yeah, that lady. Ronda
easy for you
Rousey.
to say. And this isn't to take anything away from Kylie. I mean, she has victories over Notorious Mimi. She's been in the ring with Lainey Luck and Brittany Brooks and Priscilla Kelly, and it's not the first time she shared a ring with Teal Piper, and she's a very accomplished, talented wrestler. But again, I don't remember ever seeing her in a submission match, nor winning a match via submission. DK, what about you? Do you recall that or anything similar to that?
Nothing specific. Of course,
And
sometimes that's what they do to introduce a submission move for a particular wrestler.
well, and again, I don't. The whole thing. I look. I don't hate the idea of how they're producing this. She lost a match in a tag team match. The opponent had a good submission hold on her, and her foot was in the rope when she was tapping. Had the referee been in a different position, I mean, she has an adequate point to make. Had the referee been in a better position, the referee would have seen that her foot was in the rope and it would have broke the hold. But she didn't break the hold because the referee didn't see that she was in the ropes. So all of that being said, like, I kind of see why this is a storyline that makes sense to me. And although I didn't love the match, and we'll get to the match in just a moment, at least I like the story behind it. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
Jaden, did you have anything else you wanted to add, or are you good?
No, we're good.
Then we get the Federation of Champions, or whatever they're calling it, where you've got Aaron Stevens, who's ready to fight Alex Misery. And some of the key phrases I liked here, he looked at his hand and said he has 5 mountains of white thunder, which I don't know why that made me laugh, but I wrote it down. And then he also said that misery loves company, which I thought was a great line. Again, just build up for the match between him and Alex Misery. And again, I had no problem with that. Did either of you guys see the promo?
I did not, but when I do pay attention to a little bit of the conglomeration of belt holders, I just kind of want Mondo to just grab like one of the slime balls or Lockjaw and just like kind of rip them in half, kind of like Megatron did to Jazz.
I get you. I know what you're talking about.
Just like rip them right in half. That'd be so awesome.
TK, you have anything you want to add?
I didn't watch.
So then we go to the submission match, Kylie versus Hera. And, we've talked about in the past that the NWA women's division has certainly been lacking. And I think next week we'll talk about all the potential women wrestlers that the NWA has come into and then also lost. I should have phrased that better. The women that have come to the NWA and have left, and the NWA women's division has mostly for the last year or so been Kenzie, Kylie, Markova, Nieves, and then a rotating third or fourth person. So it was kind of a surprise that Hera got this huge elaborate entrance, and it really surprised me. Not so much that she got the entrance, but because none of the fans did a single thing to react. Not a positive cheer, not a negative boo. It was silent. You could hear a pin drop in the Tampa studios. And I get it. Hera isn't well known. She hasn't been wrestling for very long. She isn't very good. She has a strange look to her. There's so many things going against her in this matchup, and the fans not reacting is absolutely one of them. You could tell right away that the Hera is still green, and Kylie just
Kind of more gray.
fair enough. Hera is able to, get a little bit of offense in, but she really isn't very good. And I try to point out positives, right? I really do. I don't think Hera's ready to be on TV. She had a very interesting, like the tag match from 2 or 3 weeks ago. They were able to hide a lot of her flaws because she was only in the ring for a little bit, had that cool submission move on Kylie. But outside of that, I didn't see a lot from her the first time around, and I saw even less this time. She had happy feet in the ring. It felt like Kylie was literally directing traffic in this match. And like I said, I've never have seen Hera before. I don't know where she's from, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's one of Idol's students in Tampa. But with the big entrance and everything else, you would think that this would be a more skilled wrestler. That was not the case. Kylie just works circles around her. Hera is able to get escapes from Kylie's submission holds, but she isn't really able to mount a lot of offense. Kylie does that. I don't know what you call it, and I'm sure Jane would know, but you lock the arm and then you have the cross face. What is that called? Or the shoulder? No, it's the shoulder. Excuse me. Where you're stretching out the arms with your legs and your upper body.
What the key lock or the Kimura lock, or was it the Fujiwara arm bar? Which I wasn't.
It was
really...
more like so she had her legs wrapped around one arm, and then had her arm, and Kylie had her arms on Hera's other arm, and she's kind of stretching her out. I don't know what that's called.
I didn't see the move. Honestly, I Jim Cornetted this match and went to the end.
Okay, fair enough.
So I wish, honestly, I don't know it. Find me the segment, or somebody can give me a highlight, and I'll tell you if I know what it is. Sounds almost like a crucifix, or like a
like a crucifix, like a submission crucifix.
Yeah.
And then real quick,
okay.
Matthew Underwood says she's WLW. So okay, that might make sense. I still not a very good wrestler. Skylar Sparks.
What's WLW?
World League Wrestling, the Missouri NWA.
Oh yeah. Okay, I think it was like women's lucha warriors or something.
The match thankfully ended with disqualification because Kylie was just beating her up too much, and the referee couldn't get control of the match. So we didn't get a submission in a submission match, and they just called it a disqualification because Kylie quit listening to the referee. There's a lot of, and I know these matches were taped months ago, but there's a lot of kind of similarity between this and Becky Lynch and Jessica Carr in the WWE, and Kylie and the female referee in the NWA. Chris Shoemaker is saying that the move is called the Brutalizer. Okay. I don't know what it was called, but anyways, this match was a big dud for me, and it just reassured me that Kylie's a badass and Hera is not ready for this type of competition. DKM, what did you think of this match?
It sucked.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it wasn't any good. No offense to Kylie, but when she's the veteran in the ring and, the one having to lead it and control it and all that stuff, that's not a good thing. And as for what's the name of the girl she was wrestling again? Hera, like the Greek god, I guess. Goddess.
Yeah.
No, honey. Go back to school. Go back to training. And if you don't get any better, find another line of entertainment to work in. She makes Greta look not as terrible as Greta looks. And I did find some stuff online with Greta doing some training where she doesn't look terrible, but it's training. When she's actually in the ring doing stuff, she looks horrible, and she can barely do a choke slam. And it's just like, no, girls, NWA, somebody, stop this.
And Jane, you said you kind of skipped it, so you probably made the best decision out of the three of us. Next up, we got a promo for Viperous and Serena Vale. This is the first time I've ever heard Viperous speak, to be quite honest with you. And essentially, they have an opportunity to face the Hex next week for the NWA Women's Tag Team titles, which I like it. Look, it's a new pairing. Vale, we've seen a handful of times. Viperous has just only, I think, wrestled one match for the NWA. I'm very familiar with Viperous because she competes both for the Lucha Libre AAA when they're in Tijuana and also for Championship Wrestling. So she's somebody I've seen, again, quite frequently. And her in the NWA, I feel like, is a good setup, especially with Serena Vale. But we'll see how that all plays out next week. Um,
I'm a Serena Vale fan. I know it comes as a shock.
did you see this promo?
No, I just remember I just like Serena Vale.
Chris Shoemaker says Chris Benoit was the crossface. Pac uses it. Cena does the STFU with they're all versions of the same move. Okay, that makes sense.
There's also like a Regal Stretch probably is similar too.
Yeah, I think the Regal Stretch is it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not doubting Chris, but the Regal Stretch, now that you say it, it reminds me of that. Kind of like the Rings of Saturn too, like what Perry Saturn used to do.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Dr. Vic, another segment where he explains
Therapist.
the therapist, Vic. He explains that the opportunities that he has for the group are very niche, and that he's going to treat each one of them differently. So the opportunities that Tiffany Nieves gets will be different from the opportunities that Miss Star will receive. And then, Miss Star at this point kind of just gives it to him. He's like, well, wait, then tell me what my opportunities are going to be. And he's like, well, we're still working on it. We've got Tiffany and the rest. And that she takes exception to that. And what's my name? Well, you're Miss Star. And what's her name? Greta. Yeah, if you're going to treat us as individuals, you got to acknowledge us as individuals. I like the fact that Miss Star, who is a third generation wrestling talent, has the wherewithal to call the bullshit on the therapist that should be called on him. So that was a very, again, cringeworthy moment for the NWA. Good job, guys. You always make me feel uncomfortable watching your program. Next up, we get the 4-way match. And this was, again, odd man out. This is kind of the vindicator for Alex Taylor. He lost his junior heavyweight championship to Spencer Slade not too long ago. He lost a couple weeks ago to Damian Fenrir. And so he is trying to get his momentum back, get his good mojo back. And it starts off in a 4-way match with him, Bryce Hansen, who we find out is from Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, JAC, and Tyler Frank. Now, the match, again, this is 100% there just to showcase who Alex Taylor was, and can be again. Taylor launches his attack on Bryce Hansen, we've never seen Bryce in an NWA ring before. They do go on to mention that he is a part of Maple Leaf and was on a tour in Japan. They never said specifically which company. So of course that means Jay has to go research and find out what it is. And apparently in March and April of 2025, Harrison did work for Pro Wrestling Noah. So there is truth to it. They weren't bullshitting us. He literally did do a tour, but it wasn't such a long time ago. It was literally almost a year ago from the day that the tape aired. So while Bryce and Alex Taylor are fighting inside the ring, JAC and Tyler fight on the outside, and they did a perfect, broke those two guys off so that you could focus on what's going on in the ring. And then the announcers, I already said that. I also looked into it. He has competed in a lot of the Canadian promotions. Currently is the A1 Outer Limits champion. He won that title literally just a few days ago on March 1st. And AI is a Canadian-based wrestling promotion. So there you go. Alex Taylor connects. The battle between Hansen and Taylor is actually really entertaining. And I think I would have rather just seen a one-on-one match as opposed to doing the 4-way. And I get it. The 4-way was there to help establish Taylor as being a dominant wrestler, but I don't need him to be a dominant wrestler. I just need to have him be a good wrestler. And a victory over Hansen straight up would have been almost as meaningful as beating 3 other guys, at least in my eyes. And he takes out Hansen with it like a Death Valley driver. And I'm excited. Taylor looked good in that first part of the match. As soon as he hits that, I'm jumping around a little bit. Sorry. I'm sorry. Taylor doesn't win with the Death Valley driver. He connects, and then JAC. I'm getting confused here, so I apologize. Essentially, the first round goes to Taylor when he beats Hansen, and he beats him after JAC hits I think it was a power bomb on him, And then Taylor gives JAC the knee that knocks him out of the ring, and Taylor steals the pin for the first fall. Next up, then we have in this match, we have sorry, my notes are all over the place. Sorry, I apologize. And then we have Tyler Frank gets in the ring, and Taylor throws him into the ring post to kind of put him out of action again. And then you got JAC and Taylor kind of being the focus of the match. And JAC is just beating on Taylor. It's kind of what you expect. JAC is a heavyweight, and Taylor is, up until this point, still recognized as a former World Junior Heavyweight Champion. So he's a smaller guy. But Tyler, I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say here. Anyways,
Me neither.
yeah. Anyways, the second fall is Taylor getting the pinfall on Big JAC. My notes aren't very good, so I'm just gonna go to the next point. And then it's Tyler Frank, and Alex Taylor, and then Taylor gets the victory on Alex Taylor gets the victory on Tyler Frank. And it was a good match in that it did establish Taylor on a rebound. He had been on a losing streak, losing his title, then losing to Fenrir, but this was an opportunity for him to look good. He got in the ring. He got 4 victories in one match. And I still think I would have been happier with a one-on-one match. D-Cam, what did you think of this one? That I butchered it. DK's muted.
Well, you butchered it.
Sure.
And no, just joking. I don't know that I could have done any better. I don't like these type of matches.
For the record, I don't either.
And I don't like the way they booked this one. I mean, they're trying to tell us Taylor's on this major skid. He lost 2 matches.
Yeah.
How many wrestlers they have on there that are top guys that lose 2 matches in a row? I mean, Tom Latimer lost 2 matches.
That's good.
And so it's...
And now he's teaming with Idol, so go figure.
Yeah, and...
Yeah, his career's gone to hell, hasn't it?
Yeah. And so it's... The story that they were telling, they never told. Because, okay, he lost the title. That happens. Champions lose their titles. And then he lost a match that he probably should have won, which he came out and made all these excuses for. And then all of a sudden he beats 4 people in a single match, or however many it was. And it was like, what? Now what do you do with them?
Yeah.
Because now, unless he's put in the next match, and this is one of the things I hate when the way they book some people and stuff like that. And, I'm going to pick on Greta again for a second, but it has more to do with the booking than her. But if she's this big badass that can't be taken off her feet and is destroying every female wrestler in the thing, why isn't she the champion?
Yeah.
I mean, if she's so big, bad, and awesome, put her in the ring with the champion, let her crush the champion, and hold the title for 10 years. Well, you don't do that because nobody wants to watch that. And we don't want to watch it now.
Yep.
And, it's like, okay, now what do you do with Taylor? You put him back in the ring with Slade? Well, we don't want to see Slade lose the title yet, so we don't want Taylor to win. So then what do you do?
Well,
and of course, everything's going on hold now because it's Crockett Cup. So all the storylines kind of go on hold while they do all this Crockett Cup stuff. And then you got to wait for that to get back to the stories. So the match was messy. And that's why your notes were messy. And because the match was. And it didn't make any sense to be telling a storyline of a guy that's in decline because he lost 2 matches and now he's just beat 4 people. Okay, but you've done nothing now. Your story is meaningless.
I'm going to disagree slightly with DK.
All right.
I think he was pissed because he was the odd man out and it lit a fire under his ass. And that is why he came out with those 4 wins. Because somebody pissed him off and challenged him, and now all of a sudden he's coming back with a newfound fury just to tell them to go F off. Like, hey, you know what? You were go with the hot hand. Well, guess what? Now I'm going to show you that I was always the hot hand, and that wasn't me. That was a fluke. Now I'm back, and I'm better than ever.
Do that next month, or don't tell the original story. I mean, don't.
Well, see, they did it right into the promos. They talked about how they put in that Kerry Morton was the chosen partner, so that would piss me off.
Yeah,
and I would do a lot of things, great things out of spite.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that part of it. I have a problem with that they were doing this big angle of this big poor guy who was spiraling down and out of control and had the worst luck, and none of that was the case. So if you were going to do this, you didn't need to be making it sound like his world was coming to a bloody end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, the problem is storylines only last 3 single TV taping and or signature live event long before they go on and make up new bad stuff.
This is also true.
Well, and that's I mean that's what they do, but it doesn't make it good. That's why I'm criticizing it.
No. I'm not saying it's good, but at least I'm saying at least there was a reason that he came out balls to the wall and ready to chew some bubble gum and kick ass, and he was all out of bubble gum.
I guess just to prove that he shouldn't have been the guy left out.
Yeah.
Matt says Kerry versus AT for the TV belt. I would not be surprised if that happens. But of course, you know, what do we know about tag teams in the NWA? They either end to injury or by Billy splitting up the team. And so at some point, one could only expect that Billy will split Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor. And if it's over the TV title, at least you could do something interesting with that.
What was the next match?
So after that, then we have another promo in the back, and it's the Lost promo. For whatever reason, Gags is playing with Love's hair, and you've got Misery just kind of stalking back and forth, and he keeps saying that they're mocking him, and then he takes a light tube and crashes it in his head just to prove how tough and crazy he is. And again, I love Alex Misery. It's fun seeing him pop up in the chat time from time. He's not here right now, so I can say this. I think he's super talented, but this was kind of a dumb thing. Like light tubes, to me, I don't like light tubes in wrestling. I'm not a hardcore deathmatch guy, so you know, if Alex Misery was in the chat, I'd say it anyways. I don't want death matches. I'm okay with the high risk matches. I'm okay with the no limits matches. I don't need a light tube anywhere near the wrestling ring, for my preference, anyways. With that being said, I felt like it was a good promo to show how fired up he was. Did either of you see the promo?
I kind of noticed the light tube thingy, and I just kind of went on to the next match.
Yeah, that makes sense.
By the way, it's not hard to break a light tube. It's not like breaking a bottle on your head.
And it was.
You can break a light tube by.
It was just.
You can break a light tube by swinging it too hard.
Yeah. The match starts off with, believe it or not, Misery is playing up to the crowd, and Stevens takes advantage of it. And Misery is seemingly absorbing all of Aaron's punishment. At one point, he bites the glove, the hand that's covered in a glove, I should say. And usually that's the loaded glove. I'm like, wouldn't that hurt your teeth? You're biting on something that's loaded in that glove. What are you doing? He pulls the glove off, and you think, okay, now there's no chance that Stevens is going to be able to use that in this match. And then at that point, Stevens tosses Misery to the outside and then throws Misery into the ring steps. During that point, I noticed that part of Misery's boot fell off, like the sole of his boot fell off, and I felt like how uncomfortable would that be to walk on for the rest of the show and get your feet right when you're doing any move, because now you're kind of lopsided. Jaden, you've been in the ring. Like, would your boot losing its sole make it more difficult for you to wrestle?
Yeah. I will say that I wore lifts in my boots, and every time I tried to do a drop kick, I couldn't estimate correctly, and often kick them in the face because there was an extra few inches. But if one of those lifts decided to be no longer lifting, I'm afraid I might probably blow my knee out. I can't even walk downstairs if they're not perfectly right without hurting myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was trying to read a comment on TikTok, but it's hard to read. So I'll make the window bigger real quick. Any chance NWA could get Paul Ellering and the APA into the tag division? WWE did nothing with them. I mean, I think they're too rich for Billy's blood, but I think that'd be a great addition.
Paul Ellering is living where now? I forget.
I think they're in Florida, isn't he?
I think he might be. So it's probably not hard. It's whether they want to, honestly. Paul Ellering stopped being entertaining when he became the babyface manager of the Babyface Road Warriors. He was just more of the guy with the Wall Street Journal in his hand by then. So he didn't add anything to me to the APA or the Authors of Pain.
That's what it was, Authors of Pain.
So I honestly, do they need another person taking up roster space? They just got rid of Austin Idol.
Not fast enough. I do believe the Authors of Pain do not live in the United States. I believe they're from Europe, right?
No, I think they're from Puerto Rico, aren't they?
No, they're from two different places. But
well, Akam is from Canada, and Razor is from Albania. So I don't know if they're both still in the United States or in another country or what. But I think they would be interesting, especially when you have some heavy hitters in the NWA tag division, like the Immortals, the Country Gentlemen are pretty big guys. And when you had Murdoch and Knox, I don't really consider Blunt Force Trauma anymore, but we'll see about that. But anyways, yeah, I think they'd fit in terms of size and stature, but I think that'd also be pretty expensive. Getting back to the Stevens and Misery match, basically Misery just absorbs all the punishment Steven gives them, and then just will hit some like a springboard move or a high rope move. None of Aaron's offense was sticking, meaning it's just like he'd knock down Misery, but Misery would get right back up. Kind of like true to who Misery is in the NWA. He's kind of this no pain, no fear kind of guy.
He gets knocked down and he gets up. Is it get up again? Is never going to keep him down? Never going to hold him down. What's that song?
Yeah, Chumbawamba.
Yeah.
Nice, nice pull.
Been knocked down. Again, never going to keep me down. I got knocked down.
Somebody's liking the live because you sang that song, so keep going. At some point, Stevens pulls out another loaded glove, ready to go, and Misery grabs his hand and does the old Nelson Muntz. You're hitting yourself. You're hitting yourself. You're hitting yourself. And literally knocks out Stevens outside the ring, and we get another. When this time we get a count-out victory. So the first match of the night we had the first match of the night was a disqualification. Then Alex Taylor got 3 pins in a row, and then now you have a count-out for Stevens versus Misery, and what was supposed to be like a catch no limits match, I thought, but they didn't really do a no limits kind of match. Anyways, DCam, what did you think of this one?
I didn't enjoy it much. I didn't really enjoy this week much, to be honest.
Neither did the Discord crowd.
But that's surprising. But yeah, Aaron Stevens probably doesn't need to be wrestling in the way he currently wrestles. And the match itself, I don't know that it made a whole lot of sense. I don't know. I never got into it. That's the best way to say it. So, next, since we're already at 9:30.
10:30 where I am.
10:30.
Next. Are you talking, Jay? Because we don't hear you.
Next up, we have a few other promos, but I'm going to skip them because of time. We get the Country Gentlemen taking on the Immortals for the World Tag Titles. Joe Galli acknowledges right off the bat that that the recent loss that the Country Gents had to the Slime Balls kind of made it seem weird why they got this match, and indicated that it's one of the lasting moves from Joe Kazana when he was NWA president. The match itself is it's not as good as you would have hoped. Casey starts off strutting. Like, that's how you're going to start off a world title match with one of the baddest dudes in the ring. You're going to strut in front of him. Didn't get that one. Casey dodges Odinson's attack in the corner. He ate one where Odinson just laid into him hard, but then he's able to avoid the second one. And then at that point, the match becomes all Country Gentlemen versus Odinson, as they did a great job of cutting off the ring and working over the shoulder. This is very Arn Anderson style of wrestling. And they're tagging early and often and keeping the ring cut in half, as they say. Eventually, Kratos gets the hot tag. There's a moment where you see that AJ's trying to reach for the foot of Odinson, trying to stop that tag, realizes he's not going to get to it, then tags in KC, which made me kind of laugh because it felt like he was throwing his brother under the bus there. But the hot tag gets in, so Kratos is literally just destroying these guys. And I start thinking of Kratos, like, maybe I want to see Kratos challenge Thrillbilly. I feel like that would be a very fun and interesting match because, Kratos has spent most of his career in the NWA as a tag team wrestler, but there would be something to him as a singles wrestler and maybe a singles push. Don't get in
once.
What's that? What'd you say? DK?
Oh no, he was taken away by.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Didn't Kratos and Thrillbilly have a feud once?
I don't recall. I'll look into it, but essentially,
for some reason, I'm thinking they did that.
What's the?
I think Kratos was the heel and Thrillbilly was the face at the time.
They did. I don't know if it was a feud, but they did have him and Odinson. Basically, Thrillbilly was the odd man out when Odinson and Kratos formed, and Thrillbilly won the national championship in a three-way match with those two other guys.
Because there was one. There was one time Kratos was feuding with somebody, and he busted his head open. I remember. And for some reason, I'm thinking that was with Thrillbilly.
So there was in the championship series back in 2022, Mason defeated Kratos. And then Kratos defeated Mason on an episode of Power in 2023. And then Mason defeated Kratos by referee's decision at Nuff Said, the pay-per-view about Tyrus. And then in a triple threat match, Mason defeated Kratos and Odinson to win the national title. And then the one other time they worked the matches for the U.S. tag titles, AJ and Casey Kazana defeated Kratos and Mason. And that was back in 25 before the Immortals won the tag titles.
Okay. Yeah, I think they had kind of a mini feud.
All right, so back to the match.
So once you get the hot tag in, it's all Kratos the rest of the way. And they hit some big moves, but essentially what happens is Papa Joe Kazana throws that rule book into the ring, and KC picks it up and then throws the book to Kratos and then falls to the ring a la Eddie Guerrero, like he got hit by the book, and the referee calls for the bell assuming that Kratos did him. The problem with that is this was for the World Tag Titles. So basically, the Country Gentlemen took the win the easy way instead of getting, fighting for winning the titles. And I just felt like that was bad, dumb booking. The match itself was fine, but the booking was stupid. So
Yes.
I'll ask you first, Jaden, thoughts on this match?
It devalued the tag titles because obviously you'd rather do something stupid. It was somebody trying to be too cute. Somebody came up with an Eddie Guerrero type thing and decided to be too cute and not have it actually make sense, because if they're trying to win the championship, you should have hit them with the damn book and won the belt.
Yeah.
That's what you should have done. Then you could be champions and you got more money and a bigger paycheck and prestige, and you guys can be the second team to hold the U.S. and the World Tag Team titles. You could have been something. You could have been contenders.
Yep.
And instead, you made yourself look stupid, and then you celebrated it like you just won the freaking Olympics. It's, you ever watch the video? You ever look at that meme where the guy is all excited and he's shaking the champagne, he's biting the medal, and then you find out he's like the 16th place? That's what kind of happened on that, and it was just stupid.
Agreed. DK,
DK?
what are your thoughts?
Remember when Lex Luger beat Yokozuna by countout, and balloons dropped and confetti fell? And
I'm sorry, I thought you said John Cena. I was like, no, I don't remember. And then I realized you said Yokozuna.
Yeah. And so, and it was, a lot of people look back at that time and they go, well, they were trying to shove Luger down our throat and the fans rejected it. Not really. I remember. Fans love Luger. What happened was nobody got it why there was that big celebration, and then Vince kind of cooled on Luger after that. Because that's what Vince did.
Yep.
And this was kind of one of those things of, the match at best was okay. I was actually disappointed, as I like both teams. And I didn't feel like they gave us the quality of match that they could have given us. But the end, I'm like with Jaden. It's somebody's trying to be cute, and it doesn't make sense in the setting. You want the World Tag Team Championship. You don't want to get a cheap win and not get the belts. So, what that told me is that KC's a fucking moron.
Yeah. Well, and that would be perfect if next week we get Joe Kazana yelling at him in the back, like, what are you doing, moron? We had the tag titles won.
But that they celebrated like they fucking won. Oh, damn it! I got my second one in. Like they just won the everything. The Stanley Cup. They're going to Disney World now, apparently. They're already in Florida. Might as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Disappointing episode. Disappointing matches. Terrible promos. Horrible skits. Not one of their best recent endeavors.
So what you're saying
makes me feel like he has two brain cells and they're both fighting for third place.
So you're saying they should not send this week's episode over to Sinclair Broadcasting?
Oh God, no. I don't know. Look, sometimes I think
here's an example of my creativity and my genius.
Sometimes I think when it comes to wrestling that if Billy had half a brain, he'd still be an idiot.
Yikes.
Somehow somebody give him a half a brain and he'd end up with 2/4 of less of a brain than he has now.
Yeah, it's just not good booking, not good storytelling, and honestly, the matches weren't that good either.
Nope.
They were at best okay. None of them just like, ooh, yeah. So I was very disappointed this week.
So what you're saying is it was a bit pitchy for you, dog.
Yeah, it was pitchy. It was pitchy.
All right, Jaden, any last words on this week's episode?
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, I don't think any of us were fans of it. I did enjoy the Taylor's wrestling. I thought that was a fun match, but I still don't think they booked it correctly. Anyways,
I did. Also, you know what was really bothering me, Taylor match, real quick, is the match he had first was good. The second match he had was okay. The third match was horrible. They just, like, his quality opponent went down as he went along.
What's funny is, like, the guy who we've never seen before probably had the best match with him, and the guy that we've seen the most had the worst. So go figure.
Yes. So fake looking too. His whole offense and his selling and everything. It almost looks like somebody gave a special needs kid Ritalin.
All right, let's just move on from that quickly, please. So I guess that's going to do it for us this week. I know tomorrow night for the students at Rowan University, there's going to be a treat there. Of course, tomorrow night, there will be another NWA event, NWA in Chicago. There'll be NWA in Searville for Crossfire. So there's a lot of good wrestling going on. But Jane, do you want to give us any sneak peeks as to what the students at Rowan University are going to get tomorrow night?
Well, it has made official. Dr. Zirconium liked the idea that Brutal Bob said. So we are going to have Brutal Bob and a young prospect taking on Tank Tolan and an up-and-comer. And we're going to see that match as part of the event. That's a great idea, and I'm glad Brutal Bob thought of it, and it was definitely 100% his idea. And it's going to be a part of the event, and we're going to see that. You're going to see Ethan Promise take on Dylan Mesh. They had a match at the last one, and now they're going to rematch on this one. Ethan Promise is from Rowan University, extremely popular. You're going to see the World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Championship on the line as Valerie Berman defends against Gabby Ortiz. You might have seen her on the Monster Factory. What was it? Netflix. It was Apple TV special. Yeah. You're going to see Vinny the Fixer defend the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators singles championship against Adrian Soriano, who is the Rowan After Hours Heritage Cup tournament winner. Such a mouthful. You're going to see a lot of great professional wrestling. AJ Kazana will be there. He'll be flying in early and getting a rental car and going to the gym and tanning and doing whatever else he has to do. And then he'll be wrestling a part of Rowan University. You also seen Cheeseburger. Go watch the interview Jay did with him today after you're done here. Load it up and play it. And Jay said it was a very good one. I haven't heard it yet, so I guess I'll hear it soon. And then you can watch, you can also see, I feel like I'm missing something. But anyway, you get some great professional wrestling action as part of Rowan After Hours. It'll actually not be on the Dog YouTube. Rowan wants to put it on there, so we'll make sure we have the link out there. So if you check the Dog socials, we'll put the links out there so you can see, especially afterwards. And maybe we'll watch a couple matches from that to see how we like it here on the broadcast sometime. Yeah. Break it down. And then after that, we're going to be at right back at Rowan University for the South Jersey Geek Fest. I'm sorry, the Nerd Force Fan Fest. We'll have a table there. And come check out and get your autograph pictures done with your favorite wrestlers of Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. Then we'll be at the South Jersey Geek Fest along with Gary Michael Capetta and Dog Pro Wrestling Action. And then, little surprise, we just found out, we just added it's only been trying to be set up forever, and apparently they forgot about it too, because Rowan College of Broward County is going to have an event on April 23rd at RCBC. And currently signed for that will be Richard Holiday.
Oh, I'm gonna see Richard Holiday.
And we're going to try to get him in. We're going to try to get both him and Gary Michael Capetta on this podcast so you can help promote the event and talk to Jay. And then after that, May 3rd, we're going to be at the Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey for the Pineland Regional High School. Currently signed for that is going to be Falaba. Tank Tolan is going to be in action. Dangerous, whoever the champions are for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, champion and tag team champion. I don't know if there's either the Women's World Wrestling Grand Prix Championships will be on the line. I know Goldie's touring around the country right now in the world, so he's kind of hard to get into bookings. But so you're going to see that, and also Ty Thomas is from that school, so he'll be wrestling too. That's a lot, and we got a whole lot more. I mean, if you actually, Jay's seen the actual itinerary, there's a lot that hasn't been announced yet.
We'll have to save that for another time because we are way past it. So much so that, at the home that DK lives in, they just turned the internet off after, 9:40. So
Yeah, they brought the sidewalks in for the night, rolled them all up.
anyways, thank you again, Jaden, for hanging out with me, and DK, when you watch this later, thanks. And sorry that they cut your internet off. I also want to give a big shout out to everyone who's been watching both on TikTok and on YouTube and Twitch. Very much appreciate you guys making us part of your Thursday viewing habits, or if you watch us in demand later, thank you for checking us out. If you could I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like or a comment, and if you haven't done so, subscribe. It's free to subscribe, and we provide content. I think we're up to like 6 hours a week. So if you like wrestling, if you like the NWA, if you like the independents, if you like Lucha Libre, this is a great channel to be a part of, because we do talk about all that stuff. And if you also want to help support the show, sponsor the show, we do have W is our favorite energy drink supplement that you can check it out. We have a link to that on our website, and as well as a merchandise store, both at alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. We'll be back next week with another pre-party, another Alliance Guys podcast, and another Alliance Blog podcast. So please stay tuned. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Good night now. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.